Liga is off the table. Juventus in after talks, another Sane to Bayern update, a transfer roundup, and this week's great debate all coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, Matt Froelich, you are the Onefootballers, and this is the Daily News. First off, and the top two divisions in France have been cancelled. That is according to French President Edouard Philippe, who yesterday said that there will be no sporting events taking place in France until September. So, with this premature end to the season, the French FA have quite the mission on their hands. Now, according to some rumours last week, when it seemed that this was a real possibility, there were three options from the French FA set out to conclude the season. First off, is that they take the table as it stands now, with obviously PSG winning the title to finish the season. Secondly, there was taking the position after 27 rounds of games, which meant that if one team would play one game more, well, then it wouldn't really be taken into account. And lastly but not least, there was taking the halfway point. This is rather unusual, and actually I really think should be the last option on the table. There's no way you could go back, and at this point, you're talking about 8 games or so. There's no way you could take away the last 8 results and have the table at halfway. I mean, what if a team had a brilliant resurgence in January, or another team was absolutely shocking since then? Not quite sure that's so fair. Anyway, on the top 4, it's not actually having a massive effect, as Marseille are the clear runners up to PSG. But further down the table is where things get a little bit more complicated. Anyway, this is something they definitely have to figure out, but on the flip side of this, the president of PSG has said that when it comes to the Champions League, they will still be finishing their games. Even as it means that they can't play home matches. With no football in France, they'll have to play their home games in the quarterfinals and further on abroad somewhere else. This is obviously quite confusing at the moment, considering the fact that Liga is now cancelled, the Eredivisie is cancelled, the Spanish president thinks that they're going to return to football in mid-June, and no one really knows what's going on in England. Liverpool fans, if there was ever a time to worry, it's probably now. It looks increasingly likely the longer we go on that the season will eventually end up voided. Anyway, talking of PSG and their continuation in the Champions League, we also forgot to mention Lyon, who actually 1-0 ahead to Juventus, although faced a tricky tie in Turin, which means they could probably exit the competition. Anyway, along top of all of this, we could have seen the end of Neymar, Mbappe, and most definitely Cavani in French football. Cavani's contract expires at the end of the season, so he's definitely out. It looks like Neymar will want to leave, and with Mbappe, I'm not so sure just yet. Maybe this could be the end of an era for PSG. But anyway, moving on to Arthur, the Barcelona midfielder who is apparently going to open talks with Juventus, according to reports in Italy. This one, I really don't understand. It literally seems that every time Barca and Juve are involved in a deal, it appears to be a swap deal, and this is no different. There's going to be some money for Arthur, and they're going to throw in someone like Bernardeschi or Miralem Pjanic or anyone like that. From Juventus' point of view, I get it. They've got quite an old midfield if you factor in Khedira in there as well. Blaise Matuidi, Aaron Ramsey's in his late 20s. He's not old. Certainly not doing a great job anyway, but regardless, it would be a good deal getting in a brilliant young midfielder. But from Barcelona's point of view, this seems utterly ridiculous. Surely the likes of Arturo Vidal or even Rakitic should be the first to go. Players who are getting older who aren't really going to be there for the future. Arthur, alongside Frenkie de Jong, is the future of Barcelona's midfield. I don't know about you guys. Barca fans, let me know. From what I've seen and from what I've heard, there certainly haven't been too many complaints about Arthur. Yes, at the moment he's not quite Iniesta or Xavi level, but who is actually realistically ever going to reach those levels? But he's definitely a good midfielder with so many years ahead of him. Why would they consider selling him? Maybe not everything is quite right at the Barcelona board. Anyway, alongside this, there is also, of course, another roundup about Leroy Sane. Yes, I know we speak about him so much on the channel, and I try my best not to mention him every other day because I know it bores you guys just as much as it bores me. But apparently, Hansi Flick, the new Bayern Munich manager who's been given a full-time contract after his interim period, is now speaking on the phone to Leroy Sane. Apparently the other day he had a 30-minute call. We don't know whether he zoomed him, Skyped him, or called him over FaceTime, but the two have spoken after previously Flick saying he's far more interested in the likes of Timo Werner and Kai Havertz. Under the previous presidency at Bayern Munich, well, Hasan Salihamidzic was really keen to bring Leroy Sane in. Flick wasn't so keen, but it looks like, having spoken with Oliver Kahn, the new president of Bayern, he may have had a little change of heart. In fact, the change of heart was probably what got Kahn to sign Flick in the first place on a long-term deal. Apparently this is still rumbling on because Bayern Munich want a world superstar. They know that Leroy Sane has only got a year left in his contract and Sane wants to move to Bayern to improve his chances of winning the Champions League. So next up, a quick roundup of the rest of the day's transfer news, where Ajax goalkeeper Andre Onana, like we mentioned the other day, has officially said that he wants to leave the club and take the next step in his career. Mesut Ozil may be leaving Arsenal as he is yet to be offered a new contract. Everton are looking to open talks with Barcelona defender Jean-Clair, and after just 4 months in charge, Alan Pardew has left ADO Den Haag in the Eredivisie. Surely Alan Pardew is not going to get another job in the Premier League. If he does, he must be blackmailing somebody somewhere. Anyway, lastly but not least, we come to this week's great debate. I'm posing you guys a question this week for the comment section down below, and it is, what would you do with the rest of the Premier League season? Would you either void it altogether and just completely forget they ever existed, cancel it and take the positions as they are or with some other mechanism, or wait as long as you can to finish the season? As for me, I'm going to go ahead and say they cancel the season. Keeping it open to try and play it in the summer when things look like they're getting pretty bad at the moment and the rest of the teams aren't able to complete their leagues seems like a silly idea, especially if it's going to completely disrupt the Premier League season and then completely disrupt next season's Champions League, and then it's not in line with the rest of the leagues. Things just get a little bit too confusing. As for taking the spots at the moment, I also think that's a little bit harsh. Personally, I would just void the whole thing. I know it sounds utterly ridiculous and Liverpool fans are going to be absolutely disgusted. But having said that, more than just Liverpool obviously winning the title, being 25 points clear, it's more important for the clubs who are struggling for money just a little bit more, the ones towards the bottom of the table and the ones that are going to be relegated if the season continues or if they take places that are currently fixed. I really think they should just void the whole season, give everyone a clean slate for next year, and hopefully things won't be affected too much. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on the great debate and, of course, the rest of today's daily news. Whilst you're at it, don't forget to smash the like button and click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on OneFootball. But until next time, I will see you guys later.